Let me start off by saying that this video is for winners. This video is for the people who understand the value of doing hard things, the people who are ready to commit to a process and actually fucking follow through and see results. I don't want to hear Brix, the shit is too hard. I can't stick to that. That sounds like a lot. If that's going to be your response, then don't watch this video because this one isn't for you. Winners track macros. Winners pursue optimal health. This video is for winners. Let me talk to you about why you should listen to me. Because I wasn't always a winner. There was a stage in my life where I was 360 pounds. I was morbidly obese, high blood pressure, diabetes, anxiety, depression. I was a fucking loser. You know why? Because I did not take accountability for my choices. Everything was someone else's fault. But then I said, you know what? One day I woke up, I'm not accepting no more bullshit from myself. And I started tracking my macros. I started journaling. I started meditating. I started lifting weights. I started eating healthy. And now all of a sudden, 10 years later, my entire life is different. I'm a different motherfucker, and I want that for you. And a big part of the reason why I was able to transform mentally, which led to my physical transformation, is because I started reading. I've probably, over the last 10 years, I don't know, man, several hundred books, but there were 50 that absolutely changed everything for me. And I put 50 of these books in a document because I want you to read these very same books. So if you want to download my free 50 books that changed my life, click the link in the description. Take advantage of that right now because you know what? Leaders are readers, and that's a fact. But let's get into this macro tracking because this right here is the secret. Okay, but first, what are macros? Macro is short for macronutrient. These are basically the 3 nutrient categories that your body needs large amounts of. And they include proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. So protein is designed to help you build muscle. Carbs is your body's #1 source of energy. And fats help you with hormone production and energy storage. All right, so there's 3 main reasons why you should be tracking your macronutrients. The first reason, precision. So your body responds one way to carbs and your body responds another way to fats or proteins. So knowing how much carbs and how much protein you should be eating helps you become more precise at eating for specific goals. So if you're trying to build muscle, you know, okay, I gotta eat more protein. If I'm trying to run a marathon, I know I need to eat more carbs. If I'm trying to lose body fat, then I know there's gotta be, you know, a certain split between my carbs and my protein intake, right? So that's one of the main reasons why you track macros. The second reason, and this is the most impactful reason why you should be tracking your macros, especially as a high performer, as a winner. Accountability. A lot of us, we have these very impulsive relationships, these compulsive relationships with food. If we don't have something that helps us govern how much food we actually eat, many of us will overeat. So the accountability of having to answer to the numbers. If I put this into my face, I gotta track it. It's going to dictate how much you actually put into your face, right? It's gonna help you control your consumption. And the third reason is for performance optimization. Again, I kind of mentioned this already. So for instance, during the day, I cut back on my carbs. I don't really eat carbs during the day because it leads to brain fog, it leads to insulin spikes, and I have to take a nap. And so now I strictly focus on protein and fats during the day. But if I know I'm gonna run 10 miles tomorrow, then today I'm gonna carb up, right? I'm gonna make sure I get enough carbs that way I have enough energy in my body to sustain me for that long run. So again, it helps you optimize your diet based on your performance needs. All right, so that's why you should be tracking your macros. Here's how. So my mission here is to help high performers optimize their health. And I wanna do that by building healthy, high performer communities. I want to talk to you. I want to understand what's going on in your mental and emotional world. I want to understand what your roadblocks are, what your frustrations are. And that only happens through conversation. So if you're ready to take your journey to the next level and you need some support, you need a roadmap, I want you to sign up for a discovery call. I'm doing free discovery calls for qualified participants. And if you're not quite ready to get on the phone with me, then sign up for the email newsletter. Because anybody who's a part of my email family, you know I give you guys such valuable, insightful information that's gonna help prepare you to level up your health. All right, so one of 2 things, sign up for a free discovery call or join the newsletter. The link is in the description below. The first thing you need to do is calculate your calorie requirements. Now there's plenty online calculators. I'll put some links to my favorite calculators in the description below. Now here's the part where I've gotten tripped up in the past, the macronutrient splits, right? We all see them, 40% this, 20% that, whatever, right? If you're trying to get ripped, If you're trying to lose body fat, if you're trying to build muscle, here's what I would do, right? Because there's the 40-40-20 split, where that's 40% carbs, 20% proteins, 20% fats. That's the main split that you'll see floating around the internet. I don't think that's enough protein for a person who is trying to get ripped. So here's what I suggest. Now, if you want to follow along and use my personal formula for your macro split, then I want you to go to one of those sites in the description, calculate your calorie requirements. Once you have your calorie requirements, then let's proceed with the formula. Now you're going to take your weight. In this instant, it was 200 pounds. You're going to multiply that by 0.75. Now this is just a suggestion. You can multiply it by 1 if you want to get more protein, but this is a safe amount for most people. All right, so let's stick with 0.75 grams of protein per pound of body weight for this example. So you're multiplying your weight by 0.75, and in this case, that gives 150 grams of protein. Now there's 4 calories in each gram of protein, so we're going to multiply this 150 by 4. That gives us 600. So that means 600 of your calories are going to be from protein. Let's determine what that percentage is, right? Because the macro splits are just percentages. So in this case, 600 calories, I have to eat 2,500 calories, right? So let's determine what percentage 600 is of 2,500. So in this case, it's 600 divided by 2,500. And then you're going to multiply that by 100. And that gives me 24%. So that means 24% of my calories are going to be from protein. Now, what I suggest you doing is taking the remaining percentage, right? So now let's do this. 100 minus 24 in this case, right? Because I'm taking the 24% that is strictly for my protein and I'm figuring out what's left. That gives me 76%. This is where you're going to determine how much of that 76% is going to be from carbs and how much of it is going to be from fat. My suggestion is to start by splitting it, which means in this example, 76% divided by 2, that gives me 38%. So that means my macro split would be 38 carbs, 24% protein, and 38% fats. Let me give a disclaimer. I am not a nutritionist. This is what I've had success with thousands of my clients. Now, this is just a start. And I hope you were able to follow that, right? So you took the remaining percentage and you just split it between carbs and fats, because this is going to give you an even place for you to start to experiment with how you feel. Now, if you split the rest of the percentage between your fats and your carbs and you don't feel as strong, or you don't feel like you have enough energy, or you're not sleeping good, then you may want to tweak it a little bit. You may need a little bit more carbs, or you may need a little bit more fat. This is just a starting place. You're going to determine your protein percentage. You're going to take the remainder and you're just going to split it in half, just as a fundamental, foundational place to start your experimenting. I'm not saying that this is nutrition law. This is just a good place to start. Some people do well on higher carbs. Some people do well on higher fats. I'm trying to give generic baseline information that can apply to most people. This is an experiment. You should always treat all of this shit like an experiment. That's a good way to start your experimentation with a macro split. How do you actually track your macros? And this is when you'll need the assistance of apps. I personally like the Lose It app or MyFitnessPal. You want to get you a scale and some little measuring devices. Now, it's annoying, it's meticulous, but it's designed to be that way because this is where the accountability comes in, right? If you have to weigh everything you eat, if you have to measure everything, it's going to help you not to overeat. It's not convenient, it's not fun, but this is the shit that winners have to do in order to get bodies that look like this. This is just a fact. You can't avoid it. Now, again, you want to monitor. This macro split that I helped you calculate is just a place for you to start. Now, you want to monitor how your body is reacting to it, and then you want to adjust based on the feedback that your body is giving you. All right, so before we wrap up, here's some tips to make this whole macro tracking thing a little bit easier. The number one piece of advice I can give you is to pre-plan your meals. I eat the same shit pretty much every day, and it just makes it a lot easier for me to track my macros because I can kind of preload all of my shit in my app and boom, it's done. Everything's already pre-decided. I don't have to think about it day to day. Another thing with this, if you want to make this a habit. You have to stay consistent. I know that sounds obvious, but I needed to remind you guys of that. Consistency is key. If you want to get results, it's going to take time. So be patient. These are obvious tips, but just please be patient with yourself, especially as you're trying to make this a habit. But remember, all of the dudes you see walking around looking like me, we track our fucking macros. It's not fun, but this is the cost that you have to pay if you want to walk around looking like this. That's just the truth of the matter. If this was helpful, please hit the thumbs up button. I appreciate you guys. Let me know in the comment section if you have any video suggestions. Make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast. The We Are Gods podcast is live right now. I am helping high performers optimize their health, master their health, I should say, and to create physiques that command respect. That's the entire mission of the podcast. We're taking shit to the next level. This is for dudes who want to own rooms, who want to be shredded, who want to have Greek god physiques, and have amazing mental health and physical health. All right, so if that's you, subscribe to my podcast. I have amazing episodes already in the tuck. We have some really dope interviews scheduled, so yeah, tap in with us, all right? And remember, the body that you want is owned by a higher version of yourself, a version that tracks macros. So evolve. Peace.